Good morning, Abdullah. We're going to get right into your attic. I want to shed a little light on the problem you're having above your closet, as well as the bathroom, and what I think is sort of leading to some of the problems in the entire house. You can see the thermal image there of that cold ceiling. And once we get into the space above your closet and the bathroom, I want you just to sort of observe here how the insulation is hung, as I was mentioning yesterday, at the rafters. You don't have any insulation at those knee walls, those vertical walls that touch your living space on the other side. And to give you some perspective, I sort of perch myself up here and sort of do a 360, and you can kind of see your skylight there in the middle, the hallway skylight, and then you see the kind of the back of the house there towards the bathroom. So back down, I want to give you just a feel for what exactly is going on. You've got those knee walls, as I was mentioning, those up and down walls that are naked. And then the insulation is hung at the rafters, which is the wrong place. And what I want to sort of show you here, you're not alone. There are other people that have the same issue throughout the area. And you can kind of see that insulation where we're starting to dismantle the insulation. This is another project. At the rafters, we're starting to affix it to the walls. We're making sure we fill in that insulation and we're starting to seal things up. And then the next step with a knee wall after we've insulated is we want to put some type of a sheathing. We want to sandwich that insulation between the drywall and something else. And you can see here we use that silver Skyflex is what we call it. And then finally, just to give you the full perspective, you notice here at the attic floor, this is the same house. Now all the insulation is down at the rafters. Those walls are buttoned up and the insulation is very deep at the center. So now the insulation follows the pathway. So back to your house, a couple other things here I want you to notice. You see some of those penetrations, and a big part of attic insulation is called air sealing. And you can see Ivan here, he's air sealing, he's sealing up cracks and crevices, and this is long before we start to insulate. Any type of penetration, electrical wires, bath fans, anything that's coming through the ceiling, we want to seal up. So back to your attic. And now I'm above everything, and I wanted to just get into a few things here. But as we do, I wanted to make sure you knew one other thing here. You see how those gaps between the closet wall and the bathroom wall, those are also something that we just want to focus in. You see those cobwebs? These are areas of your house where air is communicating between the attic and the inside. I just want to show you how we treat those larger gaps. You saw how we treat those smaller ones with the foam. But in larger situations, larger gap situations, you see how we use that foam board and we cut the pieces to size and then we seal around it. So now back to the bigger thing. I want to focus a little bit on your skylights. I want you to see here how some of the insulation, as I was mentioning, just is not in good contact with those walls. And that's just, again, gravity and poor installation. That's your hallway knee wall, which you saw before. And then I wanted to just sort of fast forward a little bit and get into where I start heading towards your flue, that furnace flue that comes up the side of the house. And I also wanted to highlight that missing piece of insulation there at that hallway skylight. You kind of see that there. But getting back to that area over there behind the skylight, which is closer to the flue, one of the things that you'll notice here is that your supply ducts, your plenums, those triangular plenums, the duct connections aren't that great. So I recommend that we seal those with some foam, and that's just an example you saw there. So this is that cavity, that conduit, that area that is floating through your house that we talked a lot about. And I just wanted you to kind of get a look from bird's eye view. And, as I'd mentioned, they did some work there, but it's not good. And then you also will notice, if you want to rewind, where the insulation there has been in contact with the flue. You could see that. And then just another look at some of those areas that we want to seal up around that area, just to make sure that we can stop any communication of air between the attic and the inside of the house. So just another bird's eye view of your attic. One of the things I want to point out here as I get a little closer to your skylight is just getting into how the insulation was installed improperly to begin with. And you can just see how the pieces were just sort of cut and sort of strewn and thrown about. And if you think back to the video I showed you a little earlier, when the pieces are cut nicely, they're placed into the spots where they need to be. And then once we do that, very similar to those vertical walls, because that's essentially what the skylight is, we also want to make sure we wrap those up real nice and button those up and seal all those cracks and crevices, just like we do and you saw at those walls. Because you can see they did not do, the job when they put the stuff in back in '97. So here is a look at, a few skylights that we've done and how we button all those and wrap those up. So getting back down here, I wanted to show you how we treat the hatch. I thought that would be a good thing for you to kind of see. And, we've done this many, many times before, and we use this foam board that we affix to the back of the panel that you have right now. We just add insulation, because the whole idea here is, if you haven't figured it out already, is we want to make sure that that entire surface area that separates you from the attic is sealed and insulated. So you can see here how we make sure that the insulation doesn't fall off the back of that panel, and we make sure we glue everything together. And then the way we seal it is we add the weather stripping to the edge of it, and that way when we pop it up into the hole, it sits on that weather stripping, and the insulation above is heavy enough to make a seal, and everything is continuous. So thanks for watching, and I'll be in touch soon.